Welcome back. It has been a really long week and it's been extremely rainy. So I don't think anything on this side is going to be diveable. I was going to dive yesterday, but I just didn't have it in me. Too tired. So I'm going to give it a go today. But first things first, if you watched the last episode, you know I blew a wishbone. So this blew up on me, that connector. So I have another band right here. I ordered it the other day. So because we don't know the state of the world right now and supply chain issues in the future, I do save all of my rubbers just for emergencies. I can repair them later, but I'm gonna put the new one on right now. So we're just gonna untie this one rather than cut it. Right. Thanks, Uncle Brian. Love these. And for those of you who are interested in what gear I use, this is a 16mm reactive rubber band with a fixed wishbone. And I use that because I shoot a high carbon shaft, which is a bit heavier than a stainless shaft. So if I was going to shoot stainless, I might use a 15mm, but I like the weight of the shaft, and I've been using this same setup for so long that I'm not going to change it up now. I love it. So just make sure your shooting line that comes out of the reel, we go over the top of the shooting line and we go underneath the other ones. That way when you pull this back in pre-tension, it goes around the reel. Now the band is behind everything, which is where we want it so that it can release. If not, everything's gonna get tangled underneath your band, so make sure you do that right. So this is getting a little bit tricky. My cooler for fish has been my refrigerator, just keeping block ice in there and everything. So I have to decide what I have to keep for the kitchen and what I want to take with me diving. So I decided to throw everything away that I didn't need because we do have solar now. So we'll have a refrigerator hopefully this afternoon, and I won't need to use my cooler anymore. So I'm going to take all my other stuff, my vegetables, my eggs, and some beers, and they're going to stay in the cooler, and hopefully nothing breaks while I keep the ice and the fish in there. We'll see how this goes. I just had to clean it out too. So anyway, I'm a mess. Let's get going. And speaking of mess, I actually have no idea what I'm doing today either. I talked to Danny yesterday and see if he wanted to dive, and he said yes, and then he said I'll call you back in a while, but I don't have service here, and I ended up falling asleep really early, like right at dark, so I never even talked to him. I'm gonna go try to get some service and see if he still wants to dive or if I'm going solo today. I don't know which part of the island I'm going to. This side is really blown out, so no can on this side, so we'll figure that out. Okay, so I got a hold of Danny. He was awake. We came up with a game plan. It's going to involve a little bit of driving and a little bit of off-roading, but we can handle it. We're going to go get some sunshine, and pretty stoked about that. Yeah, we're rolling. We got Danny.
Yes,
we're all packed up. We got a bit of a drive and some four-wheel drive ahead of us, but the weather's clearing up finally. Starting to feel a little bit better about my day. I'm a little bit more awake, so we're pretty stoked. Let's get into it. Yeah, that truck can handle a lot, but this might be its limit. Yeah, I don't quite have the tires or the suspension or a lift for that, so I'm gonna turn around. All right, we did it. It's windy, it's hot, but we're there. We're super stoked to get in the water. It looks beautiful out there. Yeah, boy. And we're off. So I'm gonna load up my fancy new band here. It feels really powerful. That's a good feeling. I set it very carefully in there. And I'm gonna start my day off with a little duck dive on this big school of veques. Have a little swim around with my fish friends and figure out what's going out on the water here today. But it is beautiful before we head out a little bit deeper and get started. And this is my first drop of the day, heading down to a little over 50 feet, and I just threw my flasher to see if anything would come in on it. I saw some move around, but I really have no expectations for this dive. I'm just gonna lay down here and get warmed up and take a look around, see what comes in. And I'm gonna play around in the sand a little bit because I know the moo love that. And even if I don't plan on shooting a fish on this dive, it might bring them in out of curiosity for future dives. And it seems to be working already because this little moo comes in, and while he's definitely not big enough to shoot, it's a good sign that they're getting curious. And I know his big boy friends that are watching him in the background are seeing that he's safe, and that should set us up well for the next drop. And on my next drop, I find this little sandy patch that's right next to the reef, which I find is always one of the best spots to hide when you're hunting moo or ukus particularly. So I just keep my head down and throw a little bit of sand up. That usually gets them comfortable to come in. And I'm gonna very slowly pick my head up here after a few seconds. And I'm gonna give a little wiggle of my fingers, which looks like taco toes, which can catch their interest too. And as I peek up really gently, I can see that they're right in front of me, but I don't want to spook them. We want to see your eyes. So I'm going to put my head back down and throw a little bit more sand to pretend like I'm not interested. I was given the same dating advice when I was younger. You just look away, pretend like you don't care, and make them come to you. And look, it works. There's probably over 20 moo in front of me, but I still have to be patient. I have to pick out which one I want to shoot, which is usually the biggest one, of course, but in some cases I just go for the easiest shot, and because I have some distance to close, I cannot spook them, so I have to be very slow and methodical, really patient. So I'm just going to creep forward a little bit at a time, and I'm trying not to move my legs because fish are very familiar with fin kicks, and if your legs move, they'll know you're closing the distance. And right here I aim for the gills. I hit them right where I want to. It's a good solid shot, a lot of power. The shaft went through, but he gets off, and I don't really know what happened. I have to check it out later.
Bummer. Oh, I thought I had right in the gills.
Yeah, it looked like it.
Oh well.
I think they're going to stick around though.
I think so. They're curious. Oh, I hate when that happens.
But no surprise, we did not see them stick around after, so we decided to change locations and go out a little bit deeper. And then on the swim over, I see this cave from the surface, and I decided to take a drop on it to see if anything cool was in there. So I'm going to settle into about 20 meters here, and I'm not going to look at the cave because I don't want to spook everything that's in there, and I'm a little bit away from it. Now there's a toa that comes in, there's a lot of invasives around, but as I look over into that cave, I can see some monster manpachis and probably the largest alaihi I've ever seen. And I've not shot one in years. I usually don't shoot into holes, especially for an alaihi, but this one's so big I have to take them. The meat's fantastic, so I aim for the gills and I shoot right into the rock. It ends up doing no damage to the spear, thankfully, but I don't want to grab them because they're extremely spiky. So I'm going to try to keep them on the end of the spear as I haul them up, and I'll deal with them on the surface. I also shot so close range that I got a little bit of a muzzle wrap, which isn't really a big deal. It's just that the Dyneema got stuck underneath the wishbone. And so I'm going to try to untangle it on the way up. Give me something to do to distract me before I get to the surface and finish pulling it apart.
I haven't shot one of these in years. It's probably the biggest one I've ever seen.
See, look at the size of that spike on the gill plate. And they also have a really nasty one on the top, or a few of them, and then there's a really big one on the anal fin. So you have to be really careful when handling these guys. I usually just cut everything off so it doesn't hit me in the leg, but it's a beautiful fish, and it's probably the biggest one I've seen, like I said. Then Danny saw this huge ava, and when he took a shot on it, he was underpowered, so he missed. But then I ended up pulling this, what I think is an eel tail, out of the alaihi's mouth, and I chummed it up. Now I'm going to take a drop into the 70s here and see if that chum brings anything in, because we did not bring chum with us today. I'm not seeing much yet, but I do see a couple moo that are starting to head in, and I'm in a really good hiding place. I'm in the sand, I'm protected by the coral, and I have my gun above the reef, so I can move it pretty easily. That's a pretty nice size moo. He's within range with a little bit of a lunge, so I take another shot, and exactly the same thing as last time happens. I don't get it. Maybe there's something wrong with my flopper.
Moo curse today. Man, what is the deal?
And this pig of an Ali, he also had a baby taco in its mouth that I pulled out, and that would make an excellent piece of chum. So I throw that in the water and let it sink down for a couple minutes, and then follow it and see if anything else comes in on there. I find a really nice place to land in the sand next to the reef again and throw a little bit of dust up and see if anything else is looking at me and figuring out what I am. I'm thinking maybe they want a taste of this magic spoon, so I give it a little flash, and I'm going to use it to dig around in the sand a little bit too and create some aggregation, and that usually brings the moo in. Trying to keep my head and gun down, keep my fins flat on the reef, and I'm going to crawl forward very slowly because there's another fat moo there. So I'm looking for a handhold to drag myself across the sand and not do it too quickly. Keep them interested with a little bit of sand, look around, not show too much interest. So I line up on him, he's within range. It's not my best shot angle, but I take it anyway. It's a decent enough shot. I give him some acupuncture treatment and he takes off without even paying me. Super rude.
My third moo, man. Oh, well. One of those days.
So that's definitely enough bad luck for one spot, so we are gonna change locations. And on the way down from my next drop, I run right over this big cushion starfish, always super cool to see. And I'm gonna settle down into this spot after a bit of a swim. I'm feeling really good about it. So I find another great hiding place, and I just wanna see what this place has to offer as far as fish. I'm not really expecting much. Just changing locations is always new and exciting. And while I'm not exactly seeing much that I wanna shoot yet, I am seeing quite a bit of life. And they all seem pretty friendly, and there's a really big school of Opelukala kicking around, and while none of them are big enough to shoot, seeing them is always a really good sign. They seem to follow where the good fish are for whatever reason, so I always pay attention when there's a lot of Opelukala in the water, and they're being pretty curious. They're coming in and check me out, but I'm not going to shoot anything on this dive. I just kind of want to get an idea of what I want to do for my next drop, so I'm going to head up for some air. But then I noticed this really cool arch kind of in the near vicinity, so I wanted to go check it out. It's just over 20 meters, almost 70 feet, and I'm gonna spiral into it, and I think for sure it's an Omilu or a Lua cave. So I'm taking a gentle spiral into it, but I don't see anything. And I may have spooked it on the way in, I don't know. But I'm gonna do a little swim through and lay here for a second and see if anything comes in on me. Now, Danny from the surface said there was a pretty big Omilu out to my left, but he never came in on me. I think he was too smart for me. So I'm hoping something comes in, but there's those Opelukala still. Look behind me, I don't see nothing. So when I look over, I'm thinking, you know, maybe my bad luck has to do with my lack of invasives. So I'm gonna take an invasive off the reef. I'm gonna target a Roy, the reef's most destructive fish. That's a fat one right there. He swims away from me, but his curiosity gets the best of him. So I give him the old tap. I'm gonna yank him straight up off the reef and take that guy home and feed my plants with him. And thank you guys for convincing me not to chum him and take him home for compost.
He's gonna feed the trees.
Oh, nice.
Now, after feeling the energy shift, I go back down to the spot where I was seeing all those fish, seeing Opelukala before. I find this perfect spot to lay in. It's a little bit shallower, just over 60 feet. I'm kind of tucked into this rock, near on top of it, but still protected by all the coral. And now I'm starting to see some moo and some munus, some good vekes. There's a lot of shootable fish that are around right now, and they're coming in to check me out. They're a little bit more friendly. I'm just going to stay patient and wait for the right fish and the right shot. Now, there's a bit bigger moo, but I don't want to fully commit to him. I still have a lot of air left, and I really want to wait for the right fish. So I'm going to give him a pass, knowing that he may be an option if I decide to take him. And there's a really nice table boss over there I consider, because that's a lot of meat, but that fat munu comes in. And if you guys know, I can't pass up a fat munu. He gives me the right shot, and I shoot him right in the mouth, right through the cartilage. So I know he's on. I can put some pressure onto him. So I try to keep him up off the reef so he does no damage, and I'm gonna swim him up and grab some air.
Oh, it's a fishy spot, man.
Love me some fat slabs of munu. So then we decided to commit to this spot for a little bit. So we dropped the anchor for the buoy, and I'm going to take a drop in exactly the same spot, which I very rarely do, but I'm feeling really good about it. And there's so much fish down here. It was such a good hiding spot. I have so many options. So I'm just going to try to be patient and see what's going to come in. And I started to realize that a lot of those moo were actually hiding underneath that ledge right there. So they're starting to come out and play. A couple of them are kind of on the bigger side. And so I'm going to see if anything comes in from my right first, but I'm really going to start to commit to these moo. 3 rip-offs. I need some redemption. So one quick peek to my right, nothing behind me. I'm going to go back to these moo. So I'm going to try to look for the biggest one, the one that's going to give me the best shot, but I still got some time. So I'm going to decide, I'm going to be patient, get them comfortable with me so they don't take off too early. Since these moo want to play, I'm going to play a little game with them, and I'm going to hide my face. That usually helps them feel a little bit more secure, and it seems to have worked. They're showing more interest. They're coming in a little closer. There's more of them, more broadside shots, and now I just have to decide which one I want to take. I can't decide which one's bigger, and now they're turning away from me, so I don't have a lot of time left. I decide that the right one's bigger. I take a quartering away shot, and it actually works out this time. I get some redemption.
Finally.
Now, he's not my biggest moo, but it's not about hunting trophies today. It's about collecting food to put in my new fridge, and I'm pretty stoked about this guy anyway. Well over 2 pounds. That's all I need. So now I'm feeling a bit more relaxed. I'm gonna be a lot more selective. I have 3 nice fish on a kui, and I have 1 for the compost. So I'm gonna settle down into a little over 70 feet here and just put my head down and see if anything comes in. I know it's a pretty fishy spot, and I know they love the sand. If I keep my head down, my eyes will not spook them. I'm just gonna give it a few more seconds to help them feel comfortable with me, and I'm gonna very slowly pick my head up and see what we got. There's a nice school of vekes and some nice munus there. That's a really fat munu, but I already have a nice one. I don't want to overdo it today, so I'm going to let that guy go and see if there's anything behind me. There's some pretty nice moo, but they're not bigger than the one I have. There's some nice ones up there too, but like I said, I'm going to be selective from here on out. It's such a beautiful scene over there, some nice opalocalas, and I show this munu, even though I would normally shoot him, that I could have shot him, but he gets a pass today. So now I'm thinking I should probably take another invasive, because that felt pretty good to do. And if I'm going to be down here shooting anything, I might as well take another invasive off the reef. Even if it doesn't really put a dent in the population, it still helps me feel good. And if we don't eat them, we can use them for chum. So I see this moo right there. I line up on him, show him that he could have been toast, but he gets a pass too. So I'm going to focus on this toao instead. And he's a really tiny one. He's not even a pound. But if I'm going to be down there for that long, I'm definitely going to come up with something. So these invasive blacktail snapper are really good eating, and they can get pretty big, but this guy's like fryer size. But I think rather than dealing with him, I'd rather just chum him up and see what else we can bring in with him. And sure enough, Danny's coming up with a big old fish. He had a monstro pelukala come in on him.
Woo, yes, there we go. Nice shot. I saw him coming in. I was like, man, that's a big fish. Had to rate for Danny. Wow, dude, that's one of the biggest ones I've seen landed. That thing's got to be 7-8 pounds, man.
And it did end up weighing 7 pounds, gutted and gilled.
Dude, that is massive. Yes.
Yeah, bro.
Nice shot.
I'm stoked. I haven't shot with this thing in a while.
Dude. Beautiful.
And I think with a mix of all the chum and the commotion, this school of luas came through. There's probably 6 or 7 of them. They went out and they followed an uku. So we decided to go follow them. So we pull up the anchor and we go for a bit of a swim, see if we can chase them down a little bit deeper. and we catch up to where we think they went, and I'm down a little bit deeper now at 86 feet, and I'm gonna settle in here and see if I can get those guys to come in. They are predatory, they're pretty big, and I'm guessing they're gonna come in on some grunting and scratching. So I'm gonna take a look around. There's some sand up in the air that I threw there, but it is a barren wasteland in the distance. We definitely just left a bunch of fish to go try to find fish. Classic mistake. Can't find anything out here, so we get plenty of fish. We got pushed quite a bit down the coast, so we have a little bit of a swim back. So I just pointed that little baby uku to show him I'm gonna get him when he's bigger, and I'm gonna breathe up and we're gonna start heading back. And then on the way we run into these 3 super cool eagle rays, so I take a little duck dive on them, try to get a little bit closer. They're super cool, just scanning the sand down there. Always great to see these guys out here, very magical. So now we're approaching our exit point, and we're back in the same spot that we started at with all those moose. So just a little over 50 feet here, feeling a lot more comfortable. And I'm gonna see if I can just grab one more fish before we call it a day. I'll be selective, I don't really need one, but I would definitely take it and eat it. So I'm just gonna throw some sand and see if anything comes in. That's a really nice veke right there, and I do think about shooting them, but I'm not sure I wanna deal with processing them, because where I live, it's a little bit more difficult to process fish than it used to be. So I want to be a little bit more selective. There's some fatty moose back there. There's a big school moving in behind them. So I'm going to see if I can wait out for one of the bigger ones. So I try to keep my head and my gun down as long as I can, but I can tell this guy's coming in. He's committed. I'm just going to wait for him to get closer and give me the right shot so I don't miss another one, and he gives it to me. Hit him right in the middle of the body. I know it's a good holding shot. I saw the flopper open up, so I'm just going to try to pull him off the reef, haul him up, and now we can call it a day. Feeling very satisfied now. He's a little bit bigger than the last moo I got, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now I have enough food for the week, so I'm going to call it a day. And we ended up with over 20 pounds of high quality fish on this coulee for the day. And look how tall that opelukau is. That's why he weighs so much. Absolute monster. Stoked about that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That was like, what, 6 hours in the water?
Something like that.
Whew. That was a lot of fun though. Man, feel good. Got some fish. A little bit of heartbreak. That's the way it goes. But I have not eaten in 23 hours. So we're gonna go get something to eat, and then we have a 2-hour drive back. Yeehaw. All right, just dropped Danny off. A long ride back. It's dark, it's late. I gotta eat again. I still gotta shower, and I gotta wash all my gear and get water. So I'm gonna stop over. I gotta fill up my water jugs. I gotta clean all my gear. So this is just part of the reality of our living situation currently. We don't have our own water system yet. I have no way to wash gear, so I have to be kind of creative. This is spring water, so it's potable. It's really high quality drinkable water. We use it to cook and wash our dishes. So every couple days we have to go make a run down to the spring and fill up all our water containers. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna wash my gear. All right, this guy's been on ice since yesterday. He's nice and cold, gutted, bled, gilled. He's in great shape. So this is a monster for this size. I didn't weigh him, but he's pretty big. Yeah, that fat belly meat. Fat slab of alaihi, big old menpachi slab basically. Come here, what's this? I did start a compost bucket for plants, so I'm layering a bunch of stuff in here. So there's a layer of mulch, and then some fish and vegetable scraps, then more mulch and grass clippings and eggshells, and we're just going to keep layering it, let that decompose, and that'll be our compost for our fruit trees. Now I have to do the rest of those other fish. So now I have all the rest of the fish packaged up, and I'm gonna gotta drive it down to where the solar is, which is where my new mini fridge is. Yeah, solar's working. We got a freezer and we got a fridge. Here's our air fryer. We'll be using that pretty soon too. And now I'm gonna grab some pig out of that freezer that I got the other day. We got some pig legs, got some of that kahala from last episode, and got some pre-cooked pig. So time to thaw that out. We're gonna use that in a little while. Okay, we have to turn all of these vegetables into a stir fry. All right, so I got all these ready to go for the pan. I'm gonna do the broccoli last because I don't want to burn it. Okay, so that pan's been getting hot. We're gonna just toss some avocado oil in there. All right, I think that's hot enough. Okay, so we're gonna let this cook for a little while until they're really well done, and then we'll add everything else to it. All right, these are getting pretty close to done. So now we're gonna add all this broccoli in here. And I just minced up a little bit of garlic my dad sent me. Just gonna throw some shoyu in there. Okay, we'll let that sit for just a couple minutes, and then we'll add everything else to it. Okay, in the meantime, let's get that fish all chopped up. And cut it all against the grain the long way. Then it's gonna stir fry up a lot better. We got these long strips. We'll just cut those into smaller pieces. And I have that pork from the pigs that I got the other day. We're gonna do a little surf and turf action. Wild pig, wild alaihi, what's up? We're gonna mince up the pig pretty small. We're gonna throw that pig in first. Let that cook a little bit with everything. We're gonna save the fish though for a little while. Okay, there we go. Now we have a can of coconut cream. And now we can add all the spices. My dad sent me some horseradish too that he grew. Whew. Really spicy. We're gonna add some chili powder. Thanks, Mom. Make that spicy. Some turmeric. Some black pepper. Some ginger. And you already know what else. Now I'm just gonna add a little bit more garlic salt. Can't hurt. And at this point we have to keep stirring it so it doesn't burn on the bottom. And that's a perfect time to add the fish. Okay, so as soon as that fish is cooked, we are done. Okay, that looks just about right. The fish is starting to fall apart. It's been cooking for a few minutes and smells fantastic. So, Shut the propane off, and we're gonna pour this into a bowl. Okay, let's see how this goes. Got a little alaihi, got a little pig in there, some vegetables. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Man, I don't even remember the last time I had alaihi. That's so special. If you like manpachi, and everybody does, it's just a giant manpachi. I said that before, but man, that's super special. There's so much you can do with it, but I really have not been getting my normal vegetables that I get, beets, carrots, and onion, and broccoli, and all that stuff. So this is about the best I could do for myself, my health right now, and that is perfect. That's exactly what I want. It feels good in my body. I'm really glad I made so much of it, because after I'm done with that, I'm gonna eat the rest of that too. So I didn't eat all the alaihi. I did save some for Megan. She comes back tomorrow from work. So I wish she was here to eat this with me, but I'll probably make her something really similar anyway. But we've both been working super hard, getting a lot of stuff done. Everything is going according to plan, and we planned on it being crazy and exhausting and wild, and it is. So I will keep you guys posted on our progress. The new channel is starting soon. The first episode is almost done. I've just been so busy and so tired that I'm really just focusing on this right now. I'll get that next episode out soon. For everybody that's really interested in the training stuff, I will get back to that soon. Hopefully I start building the gym next week, and it shouldn't take me very long. But for now, I just don't have the bandwidth for it. But I'm glad all that stuff is helping you guys. I really appreciate your feedback. We're all just trying to do the best we can out here. So continue to show as much love and light to this world as you can, because we need it right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you real soon.